So I just got done making this art piece and I want to share it on Instagram here. I'm going to take the video, so it's interesting to think about right now, and I'll kind of explain it in this 10-minute video that I can put on stories through Instagram, which is so awesome to be able to share these works of art and these thoughts and these ideas and this creative energy and not have to wait for an exhibition or a performance on a stage, to just be able to share it in real time so that people can interface with it rather at their own leisure. Like, honestly, it's the coolest thing. So basically, to describe the work, and I also talk during this work that I just made, and the piece does not have a title. It's just an action. It's just a kind of life as art exploration. It started out with the idea of making a drawing. Well, first it started that I was going to drive my car as a drawing, and there were all different types of ways of what that could mean. Thinking about doing automatic driving was going to be the name of that, and the wordplay of having an automatic car and doing like you would do automatic drawing and then just kind of drive around and then sometimes use the GPS to kind of control where you go with that as well. But actually, then I thought, well, it might not be super safe to be doing that and to be thinking so abstractly while you're driving and so forth. So I thought, why not just do a walk? And of course, I'm sure there's a huge history of doing walking as meditation or as art and so forth. But I just thought, I just want to make a drawing. And I'm going to make this drawing by plotting points in space, which I thought, that's what drawing does in so many ways, whether you're drafting something for a building or you're just drawing a portrait or something. You're kind of plotting points in space, essentially. And I thought if I use that as a basis for drawing, that I could just make a drawing by moving around, by walking through the grass. So I started that, and hopefully you'll get a sense that as I started with my phone, videotaping the grass, because I didn't want to videotape surrounding neighbors. This is in a neighborhood. I didn't want to, they might not want to be in the video, so I just thought, well, why don't I just keep it on the grass? And it's a nice bright green, which is kind of incidental and so forth, and it provides a visual to it. But then the drawing is me moving around in space, and I thought about, well, how could I document it? If I'd have to get somebody else to videotape me or take pictures of me moving in the space, and that could be interesting sometime if I had someone to do that. But for now, it was just me and my phone, so I thought, okay, so I have the phone, and I can talk while I'm making this video. And then I thought, okay, that's interesting. What would a drawing sound like? So it started to become really malleable in terms of what was the artwork consisting of and how it could change and develop and evolve. And so I started moving around in the yard, essentially, and doing something like automatic drawing, but it was more like an improvised movement. Still kind of plotting points in space to keep that drawing connection. I was making kind of like curly lines, so to speak, in the yard, and then I would kind of start describing the motion that I was taking and how I was moving, and then it started to become almost kind of like a poem, right? Because I'm describing the motion with words, and I realized that the malleability of what an artwork could be, and I also thought, wow, like when I relate this through a video, that just the idea of it is interesting in itself, and then it's also kind of an action. It's not really like something that you even exhibit necessarily, which is in line with what this idea of art as the craft of life has been for me, which, by the way, I mean, winter's coming up, and I'm looking at probably going to openings and being social and stuff and having fun. It's not that I'm, like trying to stop doing exhibits, across the board. It's just that I'm interested in looking at other ways, new ways, some, fresh ways to share art, to do art. So this way of doing stuff mostly on Instagram just seems like so interesting to me because it's accessible any time of the day. It's you can reach so many people, and it puts an emphasis on the life that's lived and relating that and sharing that, which is what social media does so much, and to keep that as the flow of art rather than necessarily something that gets exhibited and so forth and is like an object in space. So I continued doing this piece where I was moving around, walking around essentially in the yard here. And then I realized how, it was kind of a dance as well. So then the piece was a drawing, a dance, and a poem all at the same time, and what that could mean. And that got really interesting to me. And it's also me just getting some fresh air, and taking a break in my day, So it's kind of like just, getting some oxygen and being out in nature. I mean, there's some trees around here, and just getting some fresh air. So it's also that. And how could, when art can be all of those things together, um, where it can be, just literally a breath of fresh air and also be a poem and a drawing and a dance all at the same time, that got me really interested. So I don't know, I'm really excited about this idea of, and I also have things going on right now where I have a big painting that I'm going to start doing, that I'm inspired to maybe even start on today, start using a pencil to draw out some of the shapes. That's a part of the spirit, souls, and ghosts that I do, and just start drawing for that. And I've been playing music and played an open mic recently, so I still have things like that going on. I'm writing a bunch and looking at being involved with an anthology and doing some publishing. So there's still kind of that stuff that I always call like conventional stuff is going on as well, but just where art just spontaneously arises, and you start looking at all the kind of like categories, like being malleable, essentially. That's really interesting to me. So um, I guess that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and this is a part of my art, and thanks for being a part of it. Have a great day today.